Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about what I've done to get ready to sell my books at markets. So I'm talking about craft fairs, farmers markets, local festivals, that kind of thing. And I just noticed that when I was researching into this, there isn't a lot of that content that's very specific for authors and writers. So I thought I would just share my experience and hopefully it's helpful to somebody else. So I already consider myself to know a little bit about doing this because I work a job where we go to various markets and festivals and have booths for sort of an outreach situation. So I've already done like market booths, and I also have a friend who has her own small business of like a small crafting business where she goes to like cons and festivals and stuff and sells her goods. So, I can always pick her brain for advice, which I definitely did. So I at least was going into this knowing roughly what to expect, what I wanted to do, that sort of thing. And I will say, I will be showing you guys footage in a little bit before I get too far into this. I just only have my phone to record and film on, and I don't have a stand for my phone. So make and do with what I have because I got limited tech with me. So I was looking into local places that I could go and sell my book, and I don't really have many options because I can't actually go outside of town. Where I live is basically the equivalent of an island, so going outside involves a ferry, it involves hotel stays, and that's just not really an option for me at this point in time. I don't have the time because I work a full-time day job and I can't justify spending money on hotels when I don't really know at this point how well my books are going to sell at events. So, understandably, I'm sticking with local ones. So, I actually had an opportunity to go to a fairly large local festival, but I was looking into it and it's on like the closest island. And yeah, logistically, it wasn't really going to work out, at least this year, because I don't have a lot of funds to put into this, and spending $500 on a hotel for one weekend is not the best idea. But I ended up looking into the local farmers market, which may or may not be a good environment. That's one of those hit or miss kind of places. And then I was looking into another local fair, or not local fair, a local market that's held monthly. So the farmers market was really great because they were willing to work with me and give me sort of like a trial week for a discounted price as opposed to just paying the full season's vendor fee up front because they understood that like I don't really know how well it's going to sell. This might not be the right audience and that kind of thing. But they don't require me to bring a tent or anything. They can provide that for me, which was great because I don't have space for a tent. And the local market that's held once a month is held at the community hall. It's a community hall. So it's again inside. I don't have to worry about rain or anything, which, when you're selling paper products, that's kind of a big deal. So after I had kind of like started chatting with people about places to go and kind of gotten those figured out, I pivoted to actually getting stuff. Now, prior to doing anything, I had, of course, gone onto Amazon and done a wish list of stuff I wanted. And I don't get me wrong, I know Amazon isn't the greatest, but I have very limited shopping options in this town. Like, literally, there's 4 stores. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but there isn't many options. So, Amazon it was for a lot of stuff because they at least ship here and have things. I'm going to be sharing on screen some of the things that I was looking to get. So, obviously, in addition to the books, I wanted to have some other things for people to pick up because I know, like, maybe somebody doesn't want to get a book, maybe they think it's too big, maybe it's too pricey, maybe it's just too much of a gamble for them, but I still wanted there to be something for people to take away. So I ended up ordering bookmarks from Vistaprint for people to buy. So I'm going to sell them like, bookmark is $2 or it's free with the purchase of a book because again, it's just kind of a good little marketing material to have. So I made a few different designs, some to go with books that I already have out and some to go with the book that I am releasing later this year. So I have like the front side of it using graphic elements from the book cover, and then on the back side I include things like the title, my name, my social media and website, and a QR code to where you can buy the book. So this way people who, pick it up and you take it home will hopefully get a little curious, go looking for the book and snag a copy. And I also am planning at some point to get stickers to hand away for free. It just took me a really long time to even find a cheap sticker printer that ships to Canada, because anytime I managed to find a printer that was like, oh, you're actually like cheap and I could maybe give these away free, then it'd be like, by the way, you now have to pay $80 in shipping, and that's ridiculous. It's stickers. I don't need to pay $80 in shipping. They're not that heavy. But I don't have any to show you at this time because I'm still working on the designs. They're not quite done. Now, with the goods on order, it was sort of time to turn my attention to what was my display going to look like, how was I going to be selling things, and all that. So I ended up buying a Square card reader. We use Square at work, so I was already really familiar with the system. And let's face it, ever since the pandemic, like half the population is just not carrying cash anymore. So having a way to take a card is sort of important if you want to make sales. And then, okay, so we're going back to the Amazon wish list. Now, there were a lot of things on this wish list, and I wasn't going to be crazy and buy everything at once because that would have been a lot of money, and I can't justify buying all of my dreams at once, especially because I don't have storage space, really. Have to be careful with the real estate I have in my house. It's like 400 square feet that I rent. It's a shoebox. So, hence why I can't do every outdoor event. I don't have space for a tent to store. But the first things I was kind of looking at were a couple different things. So what I'm going to put on screen now is actually what I got to hold and display bookmarks in. And honestly, this ended up kind of defining the whole overall aesthetic, because I was going to go for a much more like traditional dark academia thing with like, rich dark colors and black accents and things like that. And then I found these and I really liked them. Like, so I write, fantasy, historical, and I want to do some sci-fi. I have ideas for sci-fi novels. So I was trying to find something that would sort of work for all those genres and not really clash with any of them. And so I really liked this gold metal edged business card holder because it was the right size for the bookmarks, at least according to the dimensions it was. And the gold metal, it has that sort of balance between like it's vintage, but it's also kind of futuristic, especially with the glass sides. So I really liked it, and that kind of ended up unintentionally inspiring the rest of the aesthetic. So, also in that initial order, I ended up ordering a 2-pack of easels to prop my books up on so they'd be upright and they'd have a little bit of height and draw attention a little bit more, as well as 2 frames because I wanted one to post a price list. That's pretty important. People should know how much your books cost. And 2, I managed to kind of notice a lot of people saying that it really helped their sales when they had something that was like saying local author as opposed to just, I guess, random bookshop seller or something. I don't know. But I wanted to get frames to work with that and have the signs up. After those, they were actually the first thing to arrive in the mail, which was great. They arrived. The only issue I sort of had with them was the fact that the easels were just plain untreated wood, and I did not like that. Again, I mentioned how my aesthetic was kind of being dark academia inspired, so I wanted like the darker, richer wood tones, and so I decided I was going to stain the easels to match the frames. Now, obviously, they weren't going to be a perfect match, but I was just going to be happy if they were going to be within the same color family. So that is what I did. So I'm going to put on screen, what they looked like after the first coat of stain. I was actually really happy with the color. And then I ended up putting a satin gloss on them. I did want to put a matte on them, but there was no option to buy matte in the store because, again, I live in a tiny town and I have very limited selection. I was kind of bummed about that though, because I would have preferred a bit less shine in the end. But I think they turned out pretty decent. They're not perfect, but I wasn't expecting perfect. I was expecting doable. They look okay. So I'm glad. Definitely like the color a lot more. So I did my next order a little bit later, and in it I ordered a tablecloth. So I got this one. It was navy. It was able to be sized up to cover an 8-foot table, which would be the size of the tables at one of the markets I booked. I sized up for the large table, and I mean, if there's a little bit hanging over when I use a smaller table, there's just a little bit hanging over. I'm not that picky. I didn't go with one of the stretchy ones because honestly, I don't like the way they look. They just, I don't like them. I wanted something looser. So I went with this navy one. It was decent price, though it didn't have free shipping, which kind of sucked. But it had a lot of good reviews, so I trusted it. And I ordered the navy tablecloth. Now, the ultimate goal is that I will eventually buy a table runner to go in the middle, and it will have the logo of my publishing imprint on it, but they're not cheap. Anything custom is not cheap. So I decided to hold off on that, and I will get that at some point. At least that is my intention. Along with the tablecloth, I also ordered a banana bag, a belt bag, whatever the heck you want to call it. I got one of these because my friend who does the booth advised that I get one as opposed to a cash box, since I'd be working them alone and it'd be a lot easier to just like keep my money on me if, I had to go to the bathroom or something, which I thought was a fair point. And it's a lot cheaper than a cash box. Yeah, cash boxes are like $30 to $50, which seems absurd to me. But that's what it is apparently. So yeah, this was a lot cheaper. Got it in a nice dark green color because frankly, I think that color looks amazing on me. So that was my reasoning for that color. And yeah, so I ordered that to hopefully arrive in time for my first booth. And the last thing I ordered in prep for my first booth was this shelving unit. Now, I do admit I might have been a little hasty in buying it. I'm still kind of internally going, was this a good decision or not? Not gonna lie. And yeah, so I got this so I could display the backstock of my books on. So I really liked that idea of just being able to have like a miniature bookshelf that people could kind of like go through and just check them out at their own pace. And that is just because I've noticed a lot at our booths that people like to pick up books and flip through them. So I kind of wanted there to be, actually I will put my terrible terrible sketch on screen of what I wanted my booth to look like. Don't judge me, okay? Okay. I'm not a visual artist, I'm a writer. I can't really draw. Um I will put that on screen though. And yeah, so I wanted there to be like the featured books in the middle, and then at the side more backstock for people to go through at their own pace. So I really like this one because, it has the dark wood shelves, which I wanted, and it has like the gold metal on the edge, which kind of matches the aesthetic I ended up falling into, which I really liked. And it's foldable. So, like, when I don't need it, I can just fold it up and stick it under my bed and it's out of the way, which is great because originally I was thinking of maybe like a book tree, but I wasn't sold on that idea, and then I found this, and it's great. And it gets even better because I also was looking for risers to display the bookmarks on to give them a little bit more height as well. And I couldn't really find anything I liked because it was usually like, here, get this pack of like 3 different sized risers. And by the way, the dark wood finish that you like is 3 times as expensive as anything else, which was ridiculous. But this company that made this folding shelf unit has another one. It has this 2-tiered folding unit again. It folds, haha. Apparently, it was supposed to be a wall shelf to mount on a wall, but there were pictures or reviews of it just standing on a table. But it matches, so it's like the same wood finish on the shelves, the same gold, and it has the arch, which I've seen at a few booths, different like display units that have this arch thing going on, and I always really liked it. So honestly, I was really pleased that I managed to find this that matched the other shelf I wanted to get and had that arch that I was looking for. So I was like, so good. It's gonna be really great. I've held off on ordering this one though. I haven't ordered it at this point in time. Now, I do have a few other things on my wish list that I will get eventually, like a pop-up canopy tent, probably when I move into a larger space and, maybe have access to a garage or an actual shed or even just an extra closet. I really don't have a lot of space, guys. Yeah, so I want to get a tent at some point, a folding chair that's nice and comfy. Not that I'll probably be sitting in it a lot because I know it helps if you stand up when you sell stuff. But then also on my wish list are a few decor items. So the first of the decor items that I wanted to get were these bookends. I really like them because they had the, wood stripe in it that would kind of go with the whole aesthetic. And the white I thought would be a nice sort of accent to kind of brighten it up because, again, I'm going with dark wood, dark tablecloth, a lot of dark tones, and I thought the white would just kind of help, brighten things up. It's very neutral, very much leans either fantasy or historical or sci-fi because it's just white stone. And, it would help to hold books on the bookshelf. So that was the first one. Then there were these little battery powered lamps, which is just because I know my town has a local night market and a lot of towns do have local night markets. And I kind of figured if I ever do events where I'm out in the evening, I will probably want some lighting to at least help make things easier for people to read because it's a little hard to sell a book if the person can't even, read the back and find out what it is about so they know which one to choose. So, those are on the wish list. And then I get into the more decorative aesthetic pieces. So I liked this hourglass. It's got the little white for the accent color. It's got, brass or gold metal on it that fits in with the metal tone. It's got dark wood. Kind of just liked it because it fit with the aesthetic. And, an hourglass does very much fit in with sort of a combination of fantasy and historical vibes. So I thought it was really cute. And then last of all, there's just this little vase thing that I thought was cute. I haven't actually bought it yet because again, all this decor stuff is just on my wish list. But it's kind of like I could either put like thematic plants in there, or if I ever decide to like have pens, maybe pens or pencils could go in the bottles. I don't know. I thought it was just cute. I thought it'd be really easy to kind of like dress to the aesthetic of whatever book I'm trying to sell the most. And yeah, again, it was just like it's a decor thing. So that kind of brings me to the end of my kind of planning and prepping phase of things. And so, with all of that in hand, it was then time for my first market. And I am going to be sort of sharing what actually happened, what it looked like, all that fun stuff in the next video. So I hope I will see you guys for the next video when you can see how my market actually turned out.